This is Daily Blast Live. We're talking about what you're talking about.
You all ready for this?
This is a sham.
No.
Nope.
Y'all, just stop.
Get real.
Welcome to DBL. Good morning. Y'all are writing up the YouTube chat already, so let's get started. We're starting today, of course, with the latest on the missing sub. At the time of our taping, the Coast Guard says they have discovered a debris field near the Titanic wreckage site. Now, estimates are that breathable oxygen on the vessel ran out this morning, but operations are still underway to try to rescue the 5 people on board. Here's what the Rear Admiral for the Coast Guard said about it on the Today Show. Let's take a look at that.
We continue to find, in particularly complex cases, that people's will to live, really needs to be accounted for it as well. And so we're continuing to search and proceed with rescue efforts.
More and more ships and planes and submersibles have arrived in the area to aid in the search, including a French deep-sea vessel which brought this unmanned ROV, or remote operated vehicle. It's named the Victor 6000. It was made all the way to go to the ocean floor, and it actually can remain down there for long periods of time. So what do we think of this Herculean effort to find and rescue the Titan? Thoughts on where we are with this update?
Listen,
Let's be honest about it.
I was very hopeful yesterday. I was very hopeful on the show. I talked a lot about it. I'm like, I feel like this will be a movie ending. And unfortunately, it seems like the oxygen has run out at this point. It doesn't look good. There's other signs that something else might have happened. And I think you got to face reality at some point. I mean, I guess there is still always a sliver of hope, but it doesn't look good at this point.
Yeah, Eric, I watch those shows that shouldn't be alive.
Me too.
And there's a reason that they're called these shows. I've seen people that the plane crashed, they broke their legs, they crawled for help, and then they got attacked by wolves. Like, crazy things happen.
We've interviewed some people like that.
Sometimes it happens, but usually when you hear that series of events, we are all led to a thought, because that's what usually happens. And sometimes what usually happens is not what we want to happen. And, it's not conflicting in that. Obviously, I feel sorry for these people, but I think that we should, as I was looking at all that incredible equipment that we're using to locate these people, when you do risky things, there's also a risk of people coming after you getting hurt as well. They're not going, to the bottom of the cage at SeaWorld. This is a very difficult, when you start talking about helicopters, people trying to do base jumping, that kind of stuff, you're involving other people as well. So should somebody, companies or something, pay some kind of restitution because this is risky?
I'm really trying to make sense of this, because there's so much of this story that kind of defies logic, right? And I'm saying that with a large degree of sensitivity, because obviously there are 5 lives that are either in jeopardy, in peril, or have perished at this point. Those are people's loved ones, and I want to be sensitive to that. But I'm also thinking about the way that social media is really engaging in this conversation, and it's not all hopes and prayers. Like, a lot of it is making fun of this situation because of, I don't know if it's the people involved or the circumstances or whatever it is. I can't wrap my head around it. And one of the things I thought about was, Al, you and our other co-host, Sam Shocker, have a podcast called Dying for Life.
Excuse me.
And there is something fundamental about what has happened here that's very much on brand with the stories that you tell. And I know that you guys always talk about this one factor, or, something that kind of ties all of these stories together. Is there something in this story that resonates with you as that podcast host?
Yeah, and also as we move on, there's a one-upsmanship with all these kinds of things. So if Jeff, you and I are both thrill seekers and we have YouTube channels, you base jumps off of a cliff and it's 4,000 feet in the air. Well, I have to do 4,001. And what happens is it constantly ratchets up until we have a situation like this.
And there's very little regulation, let's be honest.
Yes.
Let's talk about that. We're finding out more and more about the safety concerns regarding the missing sub, the Titan. This This is Stockton Rush, okay? He is the CEO of the company that operates the Titan. Again, he is one of the 5 people on board. But get this, he had disclosed in previous interviews that he, quote, broke rules and purposefully went low-tech to save on costs. This includes using a 7-inch thick acrylic window at the front of the sub. He explained the window gets squeezed by water pressure as it descends and gives a warning if it's going to fail. There are also some questions about the sub's hull. It's going to be made out of carbon fiber and titanium, which is very experimental. In a CBS interview, CEO Rush described the design process. Let's take a look at what he had to say.
There's certain things that you want to be buttoned down. So the pressure vessel is not MacGyvered at all, because that's where we work with Boeing and NASA and the University of Washington. Everything else can fail.
So when I heard that, I felt good, right? But get this, both Boeing and the University of Washington are denying having anything to do with the hull design. So what do you think about that this sub was experimental, cost-cutting measures involved, and then was used commercially to bring tourists to the Titanic? Is that ethical in any way?
This is word salad. It's word salad. It's a way, like, it's kind of like, let's say, Tori, you went to Harvard.
Right. Oh,
and now,
dream. Right.
Of course.
Right.
And now I'm saying, all right, I have a team of experts for something that I'm doing because you're on board with what I'm doing. So now I have experts from Harvard. Like, that's what it sounds like to me. It also could be that Boeing and these other companies are like, we don't want to have anything to do with this. This wasn't something that was sanctioned by our company. Maybe it was a representative or somebody who was affiliated in some way with the company. But all of this is just so
Erica,
bizarre.
I think we're getting too deep with this. Just take out the word submarine. As we were reading that script, I was like, let's say you put traveling carnival in there instead of submarine. And we cut corners to save money. And this roller coaster failed and it killed 6 kids.
Yeah, you're right.
But because we're talking about Harvard and Boeing and all those cute words, those buzzwords, what do you say, Erica? Look over here. What are we really talking about, Jeff? A for-profit model. You're charging people $250,000 and you're cutting corners?
Well, it's funny how, like, just in life, how people want to be part of innovation, right? And they want to be on board for the first. You know, this is a product of our school or whatever it might be. Then it goes wrong, and everyone's like, well, I had nothing to do with this, right? I don't know. I thought they had this. It's their fault. He cut corners. But if he would have succeeded and it would have been successful, other people would have got their hands in the pie to try to profit from that. But it's funny how everyone's all in on something, and once something happens, they're like, wasn't me.
Especially
it was over there.
I'm smelling lawsuit.
But they signed waivers.
Yeah,
they signed waivers.
But they didn't know
at that point.
I don't know. Go ahead. I'm sorry.
Well, no, who's going to be like, right, exactly.
They're a state.
Also, here, I guess, but for what at that point? My question is, that 7-inch window is all that they were going to see once they got down there?
Yes, it's a 7-inch thick, but I believe it's a 20-inch diameter window.
So it's a 20-inch.
That's it, I believe, correct. And that's what they would each have had to look through to see the Titanic. That was it. That's how they all
because of the pressure down there.
Correct. You can't have more than that. Right.
But can't you see more on YouTube? Like, I'm very.
But if you're a billionaire and you could do things other people can't do, doesn't that kind of motivate you to do those things?
I think that I understand your point.
Yeah.
I do understand your point, but I think that we're thinking about it as if billionaires are like a totally different, like they are different people, but they're still human, and there's a lot of experiences that you can have that other people can't have. So the idea of putting your life.
This is like the second or third.
I think a lot of people have been down there, but I just think the thirst for.
This is the third for this one.
Yeah, for this particular one. Well, speaking of what Jeff just said, coming up on DBL, we're continuing this conversation. We're going to talk about other high-risk trips taken by the world's wealthiest people, and our interview with American Pie star Jason Biggs. What's he up to now?
DBL, this show is amazing.
There's a lot going on down here.
I would have been part of the Mile High Club.
Yeah.
So on point. But I'm going to have a conversation about what's happening now.
was just watching
about each one.
our
Okay.
incredible hair and makeup team.
I see him. I got him.
Ebony and Dre walk up,
I
and
know
they've
this
been
one.
working
This one
together
was
so
originally
long.
sold, but there's
They
some
didn't
ones
realize,
that
but they were
are
walking
also
in
prices
at the
different.
exact same
Okay.
speed, the exact same way, like we do this. Ebony, I don't know if you know how lockstep you and Dre are, but you guys just both casually
yeah,
walked up the
19.
exact same motion as.
11 years of friendship.
Yes, I can.
Oh, you guys knew each other that long? I didn't know that.
She knew Dre when he was. Dre's young, so she knew Dre when he was.
Is that 19?
Sixth grade.
Sixth grade. You're so sweet. I have gray hairs. He's lying.
No, it was about the 96.
Yeah.
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 Because you guys have known me since I was 23 starting.
I know. He's a zygote.
Yeah, it's.
We're talking about upcoming mountain rich people activities, and I went to school with the son, Bo Pittman, of the wife. His mother was the woman who went on the 96 Everest that became Into Thin Air by John Krakauer. Oh, wow. And she was the one who wanted, her name is Sandy Pittman, and she wanted to record from the top of Everest. So she made Sherpas carry all of this recording equipment up Mount Everest. And they went slow, and they went slow, and they went slow, and she kept saying, don't drop the equipment, don't drop off the equipment. And eventually they got so slow that the window closed, right? There's only like 4 days in June or May in which you can summit. And they were so slow they lost it, and it was one of the worst disasters in Everest history, losing Sherpas, losing mountaineers. Sandy kept her life, but was forever shamed. And Bo, her son, was in my school, and it was she managed to survive. Whether it was Sherpas helping her, but she cost a lot of people their lives. It was very sad. Welcome back. The missing submarine has a lot of people asking the question, would you risk your life for adventure? And how much would you pay for the trip? There are actually several dangerous trips you can take, but you're going to need a lot of cash. So here are some of them. A trip to the deepest known point in the ocean that will run you around $750,000. Or a flight to space that can run you as much as $450,000. Climbing Everest is more than $200,000. A trip to remote locations where you can get lost can cost $100,000, and adventures around Antarctica can cost $30,000. Jeff, you've taken crazy trips and done crazy things. Tell me, would you do these now? Is that was that because you were younger?
Yeah, a little bit. When I have kids, now that I have kids, it's a little bit different.
And
none of those
didn't
things.
know as much either back then.
Yeah, no. I mean, I've been bungee jumping and skydiving, but
bull riding.
Bull ride, yeah. But Everest never, it never like piqued my interest. No pun intended. But it was like it doesn't make sense to me. I don't know why. It just doesn't interest me. Something like getting dropped, getting lost. Kind of interests me a little bit, right? But they say you get lost without like a beacon.
Any satellite phone.
I don't like that.
Yeah,
I want to, I like adventure. I like to push the limits a little bit. But some of these things are just outside the realm of a normal person. It costs a lot of money to go up on Everest, by the way. A lot of money.
It's like 200 grand.
I think that we think of adventure wrong. Or certain people, it's like, okay, we look at that and we're like, oh, it's an adventure, but it also can be an adventure to live paycheck to paycheck. It can be an adventure to get paid on the 16th when your rent is due on the 15th. Like maybe there's just different things, I just, the way that people gauge, what is getting your blood, because it's adrenaline, right? It's about the idea of being able to get over or to do something that no one else has experienced, or will I make it or not? And to pay, if you have the money, you do whatever you want.
But a lot of these things, you're not really doing them. Like when you climb Everest, a Sherpa is basically carrying you up there. When you go to the depths, someone's taking you there. You're not really doing it. So I like things that are more adventurous that I do myself. Like I got to throw myself off that bridge, right?
Right.
With the bungee cord.
With the bungee cord.
Erica, you hit it on the head. When you start talking about adrenaline, I think it's the most underrated drug that there is. There's something that is just in people to do these things. There's a reason that people soup up their cars to street race, even though it's super illegal and dangerous. There's a reason that people will jump out of a helicopter, land on a mountain, and then ski down it. it's because that's the only way you can get this drug to release in your system.
Yeah.
And I think the more you do stuff like that, the next thing you know, you're wrestling a bear or something crazy. There's people that need to do this. And my issue is do what you need to, but then when you call on the phone saying, I need that helicopter, I need somebody to get this alligator off of me, that's when I started having an issue.
Yeah, my adrenaline is cross-stitching with beads now.
Oh.
We'll be right back.
On Sunday, June 18th, the Titan, an underwater vessel designed to explore the wreckage of the Titanic, lost contact with the ship it was launched from. The vessel and its passengers are still missing as rescue teams comb the North Atlantic for clues. Soon after the news of the missing vessel spread, several viral tweets claimed that the submarine is actually operated with a video game controller. But is that true? Let's verify. Our sources are Logitech, OceanGate Inc., the company that created and operates the missing vessel, and OnShape. Many of the viral tweets share similar images of Stockton Rush, the founder and CEO of OceanGate, holding a video game controller while inside the Titan. In an interview with CBS News, Rush confirmed how the vessel is controlled.
We run the whole thing with this game controller.
OnShape, the company that produced the engineering design tools used in the vessel's construction, says the game controller, which appears to be a Logitech F710 with modified joysticks, allows crew members to be able to take turns piloting without any knowledge of traditional submarine gauges and instrumentation. So we can verify, yes, Titan is piloted with a video game controller. The controller, which is not believed to be related to the fact that the vessel is missing, moves the unit from side to side. Up and down movements are controlled by flotation devices. So even if the controller malfunctioned, it wouldn't prevent the Titan from returning to the surface. Titan isn't the first underwater vessel to make use of video game controllers. In 2018, the World Economic Forum reported that the US Navy was experimenting with Xbox controllers to operate digital periscopes. With your Verify, I'm Ariante Till.
Welcome back. We've been watching Jason Biggs for decades in hits from American Pie to Orange is the New Black, but now he's returning to his one true love, pie. We spoke with him earlier and got a real slice of life. Take a look. Please welcome to the show, the one, the only, Jason Biggs.
Yeah. Jason, so excited. We were just chatting earlier. You look exactly the same. You look fantastic. But let's dive right in here because this seems like a match made in heaven. As a well-known pie lover, did you have a nice laugh when you got the call to be a spokesperson for pie?
Yeah, you know, look, this is a match made in heaven. It's the partnership that's 25 years in the making here. I've had opportunities, you know. Look, this is there have been moments over the last 25 years where opportunities have presented themselves, but nothing has felt exactly right. The timing hasn't felt exactly right. I feel like now there's a certain amount of nostalgia, not only from other people for the American Pie movies and that scene in particular, but also for myself with that time and with that movie. And so that's part of it. Also, you know, Edwards Desserts, my family and I, we've been fans of theirs and eating the pies for long before this partnership ever happened. So I'm a fan of the product, but also they just like understood tonally what I was down to, what I would like to ideally do if we're going to put out a campaign. Like, I wanted to lean into it. I wanted to sort of poke fun at the fact that I've been the pie guy for 25 years. I wanted to be a little irreverent, do some innuendo, and you know, they understood all that. Not only understood it, but they were on the exact same page from the beginning. And beyond that, I got to create this new pie flavor with them, which is, look, I don't want to knock Apple, okay? Apple and I have a very storied history. We have a very storied history. We have lots of, you know, lots of great memories, some not so great, some awkward, but you know, Apple's famous for a reason. Totally get it. But this flavor is more in line with my personal palate and my preferences. For me, like you said, it is kind of the match made in heaven. It feels organic, it feels right, and yeah, the fact that 25 years later, I'm still, connected to this thing, and people still, it still makes people happy. Not a day goes by where I don't recognize how lucky I am.
So I want to know, do people still come up to you and ask you about that infamous scene?
I would not be here today promoting this partnership or talking to you about it if people did not come up to me every day to talk about it. It is, and 25 years later, it's become abundantly clear to me that more than ever, that scene in particular has resonated with people all over the place, different ages. It's all the time.
Ironically, it's so funny we're talking to you today because last week I brought you up. We were talking about Pat Sajak retiring, and all the panelists said, who do you think would be the best host to take that Wheel of Fortune job? And I said Jason Biggs, not knowing I was talking to you today. Would you be up for that task of the new Pat Sajak?
How about that? First of all, I'm incredibly flattered. Thank you so much for saying that. That's awesome. I would, of course, I would love it. Are you kidding me? I love hosting. Honestly, it's been this wonderful part of my career the last few years, getting to host shows and game shows in particular. I love it. It's, it sort of requires all of, you have to obviously improv and, and interview skills and just talking to people and knowing the games and the technical stuff. It's so much fun. You really have to be on. But, I would be, that show is classic. I love the show. And obviously those would be crazy shoes to have to fill, but I would totally love it. My gosh. Would you like to be my agent?
Yeah, right, 10%.
Sure, no problem, man. Let's do it.
Oh, man.
Okay.
You guys, that was a done
great.
deal. Oral agreement. Jason, this has been so great. DBL Nation, do not miss out on the limited edition new flavor Pie Lovers Passion Fruit from Edwards Desserts. Please find out more about it at pieloversunite.com. I love that you're leaning into this. I love the nostalgia. We just think it's great. We love you. Thank you so much again, Jason. We'll be right back.
Thanks,
Appreciate
brother.
you.
Thank you, guys.
Thanks, Jason.
Thank you.
Appreciate it.
The dog days of summer are here, and so too are high utility bills. Many Verify viewers reached out with questions about ways they've heard to beat the heat. So we looked into whether they actually work. First up, will closing your blinds help keep your home cooler? So let's verify. Our sources are the U.S. Department of Energy and Lowe's. When sunlight hits double-pane windows with the blinds open, the DOE says about 76% of it turns into heat. You can help lower that number by closing the blinds. Lowe's recommends using a white blind or shade because it will help deflect more heat. The DOE says the exact percentage saved also depends on the material of your blinds. For example, an insulated shade could reduce unwanted heat by up to 60%, while using just a white curtain will help reduce the heat by a third. So, yes, closing your blinds will help keep your home cooler. All right. Next up is a question I frequently ask myself when heading to work. Does turning off the AC at home when I leave for the day save money? Admittedly, the answer to this question has a lot of variables, like where you live and how hot it is outside. Generally, our energy experts recommend leaving the air on during the day. Just turn it up a few degrees. Duke Energy explains you'll use less energy keeping your home at a modest temperature throughout the day, rather than blasting the AC when you get home to try and cool the house. Nebraska's Southwest Public Power District notes turning off your AC could cause your refrigerator to work extra hard to keep food cold, which would negate any savings from turning off the air. Plus, humidity levels may increase, leading to mold, mildew, and causing damage to electronics. So, no, in general, turning off the AC when leaving for the day does not save money. This brings us to our final question about staying cool. So, let's verify. Is there a right temperature to maximize savings? The DOE and Energy Star say setting the AC to 78 degrees is the ideal temperature to maximize savings when you're home. This is about 10% cheaper than setting it at 74 degrees. If you live in an especially warm area, then HVAC technicians recommend setting your AC 20 degrees cooler than the outdoor temperature to avoid straining your air conditioning. So, yes, there is a right temperature to maximize savings. We hope these tips help save you a bit of money this summer. We featured even more of your questions about staying cool on verifythis.com. With your Verify, I'm Brandon Lewis.
Are you skeptical of headlines and what you see on social media? We are too. The Verify newsletter helps you distinguish between true and false information by answering your questions. It provides fast facts on trending topics, spotlights major stories, and even includes a daily fun fact for all those trivia buffs out there. Get Verify's fast facts delivered every weekday to your email inbox. Go to verifythis.com/email to check it out.
Welcome back. We've got, what do we have? Some great products from our friends at Morning Save. Check them out. Steph, what do you have for us today? I'm ready to shop.
Hey Tori, hi DBL Nation. I am super excited to show off all of our treats today. Get ready to shop because it's so much fun and check out what we've got. Okay, so first up, we've got the 2-pack Idea Play fast charging power bank with wireless charging. So this doorbuster deal includes 2 chargers with charging cables. Normally they are $80. We've got a 2-pack Tori for just $15. So that's saving 81%. Now this is really brilliant, you guys, if you have migraines. It's the All Set Health Headache Relief Ice Wrap. So this deal includes 1 wrap, and we've got it in either pink, black, or grey. Normally this is $30.
That's not even that bad.
But we've got it for just $12.99.
That's better.
So that's saving 57%. Now this is something I'll never use, but a lot of people will because they can actually cook. I love you. It looks fabulous. It's the Cuisinart 15-piece hard anodized non-stick cookware set.
Yes.
So this deal includes a 1-quart saucepan with a lid, a 2-quart saucepan with a lid, a 3-quart saucepan with a lid, a 3.5-quart saute pan with a lid, a 6-quart stock pot with a lid, an 8-inch and a 10-inch skillet, a 12-inch pan with a lid, and a steamer insert. So normally it's $630. We've got it for $159.99, so you're saving 75%.
For all of it?
For everything. Okay, last thing today, Tori, this is very handy. We've got the Sunbeam Mini Percussive Massager.
Whoa.
So this deal includes this little massager right here, and it's got all these interchangeable heads.
Nice.
And this tool is small but mighty. It packs a powerful recovery in a little travel size. Normally this is $50.
That's not that bad.
No, but we've got it for $19.99.
Steph.
So that's saving 60%.
Ooh, I love these. All right, head on over to morningsave.com, everyone. Just scan the QR code right on screen, and it will take you directly to all these products on Morning Save's website. Steph, thank you so much.
I will own that massage.
You will? That massager was amazing. I don't want to give you, Kimberly wrote us in about the high-risk adventure, and she said, I went on a hot air balloon ride, and another balloon went down that same day. Oof. Very sobering. I hate hot air balloons. Fire, wicker, and no steering wheel. What are we doing?
That bungee cord snapped like 3 weeks later after I was on it in Africa. Snapped.
We'll see you tomorrow.